Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Ladies Listen Up with my co-host, Mr. Sherrod. How are you today, sir?
I am good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So before we get started, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Share this information with somebody else. Well, all right, sir. I guess today we are in the park with our topic. What do you think?
Yeah, we could take a walk through the park and discuss this emotionally charged topic.
Ooh, yes, it is. I can already hear some of the conversations and comments about this topic right now.
Yeah.
So I am going to, what is it? I think at the park you have the seesaw. So I guess it's,
Was
I
it
don't
the
know.
seesaw or teeter totter? Is that what is it called? A teeter totter or a seesaw? I don't
Maybe
know. We
I'm
old, so
dating myself.
they probably call it something else by now. So
I think back in the day it was called the seesaw.
a
So I guess,
seesaw. Okay,
yeah, I guess the weight is on, I'm down, you're up. So, okay, it's on your side, whatever it is.
okay. I'm up. I'm all the way up.
All right.
Yes, I'm all the way up. Okay, here we go. Today's topic is your kids should not be the most important in the family. And that just
Ooh.
probably made the hair on some people's necks stand up.
Yes, yes, yes. I think it did.
Okay, your kids. Now this is an article by John Rosemond, and basically the article says this: I recently asked a married couple who have 3 kids, none of whom are yet teens, who are the most important people in the family. Like all good moms and dads of this brave new millennium, they answered, our kids. Why? I then asked, what is it about your kids that give them that status? And like all good moms and dads of the brave new millennium, they couldn't answer the question other than to fumble with appeals to emotion. So I answered the question for them. There is no reasonable thing that gives your children that status. There is no reasonable thing that gives your children that status. I went on to point out that many, if not most of the problems they're having with their kids, typical stuff these days, are the result of treating their children as if their marriage, and their family exist because of the kids when it is, in fact, the other way around. Their kids exist because of them and their marriage and thrive because they have created a stable family.
Hmm.
Furthermore, without them, their kids wouldn't eat well, have the nice clothing they wear, live in the nice home in which they live, enjoy the great vacations they enjoy, and so on. Instead of lives, they are relatively carefree despite the drama to the contrary that they occasionally manufacture. Their children would be living lives full of worry and want. This issue is really the heart of the matter. People my age know it's the heart of the matter because when we were kids, it was clear to us that our parents were the most important people in our families. And that right there is why we respected our parents. And that right there is why we looked up to adults in general. Yes, Virginia, once upon a time in the United States of America, children were second class citizens to their advantage. It was also clear to us, I speak, of course, in general terms, albeit accurate, that our parents' marriages were more important to them than their relationships with us. Therefore, we did not sleep in their beds or interrupt their conversations. The family meal at home was regarded as more important than after school activities. Mom and dad talked a lot more, with one another than they talked with you. For lack of pedestals, we emancipated earlier and much more successfully than have children since. The most important person in any army is the general. The most important person in a corporation is the CEO. The most important person in a classroom is the teacher. And the most important person in a family are the parents. The most important thing about children is the need to prepare them properly for responsible citizenship. The primary objective should not be raising a straight A student who excels in 3 sports, earns a spot on the Olympic swim team, goes to an A-list university, and becomes a prominent brain surgeon. The prominent objective is to raise a child such that the community and culture are strengthened. Our child is the most important person in our family is the first step toward raising a child who feels entitled. You don't want that. Unbeknownst to your child, he doesn't need that, and neither does America.
That was a mouthful and then some. The thing that stood out, a lot of it stood out, but one of the things that stood out was this entitlement, because we do have a whole generation of people that feel like they are entitled, and the thing of it is, it's not even just entitled in their own little circle or what have you, but it's entitled to whatever, like it's just all about me, and I think that's where that comes from too, all about me, and it's really not. So what you said about the parents and the general, and all of that is just so, like, it's just so lost in our generation, our culture now. It's lost.
And you know what? And when we're saying that they're not the most important, we're not saying that they're not important. We're saying they're not the most important. Because we know in order for our family to continue, we have to have children.
Absolutely.
So we're not saying that they're not important. And then, like you and I were talking earlier about, if we had to pick, who do you save, your spouse or your children?
Right.
Well, if you take emotion out of it and put in logic, you would save your spouse first so that they can help you save the children.
Which makes sense. I mean, it just, if you think about it, but you also said take the emotion out. And a lot of what's happening and what's going on now is fueled by emotion and not logic.
Yeah, unfortunately, because you have especially when parents now separate, right? So let's take a situation where the parents separate. Now, just say moms takes the children and turns the children into her best friends, or she takes the son and turns that into the man of the house. He's not a man. Exactly. So when a man does come into a house, there's this little competition now, because this little dude think he's the man of the house.
Right.
Like, dude, you better fall back. You can't handle this, bro. I'm taking all wins, bro. I don't care how old you are, man. I'm fighting all kids, right? But your children have to be taught that they have a place, and it's behind adults.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. And also for their protection as well. It just, I mean, it just, that is. I mean, and again, like I said, that's why things are in such a disarray right now, because you have all of these children that really have not been given a structure. And if you think about it, it's like the cycle of life. When you put things together in the proper perspective, then that generation also teaches the next generation the same thing. So everybody gets their turn to be the general, actually, if it's done in the right way.
In the right way.
Everybody gets their turn at being a general. It's just you're the child, so if it's not right now, you're in training, and you're getting everything that you need to get. You're getting the foundation, the principles, the morals, all of that, and you're getting that. So then when it is your turn, you can do the same thing for the next generation. And I think when you first brought that topic up, I was thinking about that. I said, wow, I know some cases where the child was like just showered upon. And you gotta think about this too. What happens when you put that child first? And unfortunately, I did have where mom passed away 45 days after the dad did, and you had a one child home. Now the mom and the dad, who everything was about the child, they're gone. Think about the devastation now that you have on that child, because their whole foundation up until 15, 16 years old, they it was all about them.
And then they're not properly prepared to handle any type of situation, because mom and dad got it for you. Absolutely. Mom and dad showered you with everything. Mom and dad looked at you as if you were the king. And I see a lot of women struggling with their sons in grocery stores. Be quiet, shut up, this and that, and the other. And it's like, that's going to be a problem for you. He only a kid and he's giving you a problem. He's giving you problems. So just imagine when he reaches some size, and he takes this same attitude with him.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be crazy. The funny thing was, the grandmother was pushing the child in the cart.
Mm-hmm.
Dude started acting a fool. Grandma was like, whatever the young lady name was, she said, "Yo, here." She just pushed the cart like, "Here, you."
You take all this headache that you've developed.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just here. I'm here to get my lima beans and my ham hocks and stuff. I ain't here to. You said you had a hookup on the bridge car. Yeah, here you go. I'm just here because you got a hookup on the bridge car. I ain't come here to watch him. I'm telling you.
Little monster. Wow, that is something.
Man, take this little joker with you, man.
Think about it too. That entitled little boy or entitled little girl grows into a man or woman, and then they get into a relationship. What happens then?
Yep. Becomes a spoiled brat.
Spoiled brat throughout.
And nothing but failed relationship after failed relationship after failed relationship, because they don't know how to compromise, because everything's supposed to be my way.
Right. Don't know how to compromise, and then there's no accountability. So it's always the blame game on the other person.
Yep.
It's always the blame. So you know where I go with that. Interrogation.
Hey, really, because when I hear women say, "Hey, I'm a spoiled brat," I'm like, do you know those are two like negative words right there? Just there's nothing nice about the words that, my dad did this for me, this and that and the other. Okay, well, I'm not your dad, he and I are two different people, right? He's going to put up with a lot more of your crap than I would. So, hey, that's in another sense, though. That's,
Y'all had to get him. He always getting us.
That would be in another sense. That's another, category right there,
Yeah, y'all, I got him.
But to call yourself a spoiled brat and come off with, like you're entitled, and then when I see a grown person at 30, 40 years old saying, my mom and my dad still does X, Y, and Z for me.
Right.
Why?
Right.
Why? You're old as hell. You know what I'm saying?
Where's your your skills? Where's your whatever? You can't even take care of yourself. If none of us are gonna be here forever. So if they're gone, you're done. You're
right.
Or you're running from relationship to relationship, expecting that person to do all of that for you, and not ever becoming that individual or independent individual. You know what I'm saying? Like a well-rounded individual.
And see, and parents and as fathers should stop raising their daughters to think that, if that man don't do what I do for you, he ain't no good man. No, you're her dad. Y'all have a different relationship, because, as parents, we'll allow our children to get away with stuff. We won't hold them accountable for stuff, and we'll still do for them. Right. Well, in a relationship, you can't come in and just not do anything or contribute and still expect to get that, that love, that all that goodness that comes with working as a team. If you're not going to be in it for the team, you just got to go back to your mom and dad, unfortunately.
That's an important point too. Important to pull out that, that's why I stick by this whole thing about intentionality, about, doing things. And I know it comes more in the logical sense. And a lot of times folks don't understand that, especially coming from a woman, not infusing all of the emotion into decisions, but more so the logical part of it. Not saying that there's not emotion that are, that's involved, but like the bottom line. And that's why I say this about doing things with intention, because then you can more so, what I want to say, mold your outcome. Not that you can, foresee everything, but you can more so mold your outcome when you're looking at, we talked about the 5 C's, or we talked about the ability for somebody to communicate with you. The ability for somebody, give me some of these 5 C's. I know it's
communicate, cooperate,
the ability consistent. To cooperate. Right. The other person's ability to cooperate, the other person's ability or willingness to what was the other one? You said communicate,
Cooperate, being consistent.
being consistent. That's a huge one. And I think a lot of times in relationships, we fail to look at the person's consistency and the consistency with their word, consistency with their action. And then we want to get to the, to think like we want to get to the relationship part of it. And it's like all of these things are what helps you to make that determination or decision as far as, is this a good fit for me? And we talked about this before. It does not have to be that it's something wrong or rejection to that person, but it's like, is that person a good fit for me? So intentionality.
Right.
And the same thing when we're talking about raising our children, we have to raise them with intent, like we're not just like sometimes we do something and then here comes a fire, we put the fire out. Here comes the fire, we put the fire out. Instead of any type of a structure.
Right. And then what kind of structure can you actually have in your family if you said the children are the most important? I mean, you just relegated yourself to a servant's role, to become subservient to your children, right? So that means anytime your children ask for anything, I'm supposed to go running, here. No, that's not how it works. That's what's wrong with our society now. We're allowing our children to make adult decisions, and their prefrontal cortex is not even fully developed yet. It doesn't develop to 25, 27, something like that. And we're allowing them to make adult decisions at this age. Well, my daughter knew this and this. No, they're stupid. They don't know that now. We're the guides.
Explain to people that don't understand about the development of the prefrontal cortex. How does that work?
The prefrontal cortex is responsible for your behaviors and stuff like that, and decision making. How are we leaving this to some children that, first of all, you haven't experienced life enough to even make the choices that you're making? Case in point, they allow our children to drop out of school. At 16 years old, I could drop out. I ain't got to go to school. But as the parent, I'm still responsible for you getting in trouble. But I just allowed you to drop out. Or, hey, Dad, I'm 3 years old and I want to be a girl, but I'm a boy. Dude, you're 3. You don't even know what your PP is for right now. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and that's the things that I'm saying. We're allowing them to tell us how to raise them.
And that's what I get it, because that's what parental guidance is for. It's
supposed to be.
It's to guide them. It's to mold them. It's to direct them. It's to say no when no is appropriate. It's all of those things. So, it's just incredible to me how we just. I mean, it's like, I don't know if it's like, when did we stop thinking as parents? Like, when did we stop making those?
Well, we stopped when we allowed the government to come in and tell us what to do with our children. When we allowed the government to come in deeper and deeper into our homes and tell us how to raise our children. First you said we can't whoop our children, but you can bust them upside the head, and it's okay.
Right.
So now, if you allow me to discipline my own children, then 9 times out of 10, my child is not going to be out in the streets anywhere near you.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense.
And that's the thing. Right now, we're letting the inmates run the asylum. And even when you look at Nickelodeon and all these kid shows, what do you see? You see the children as the smart ones and the parents as the buffoons.
Yeah, because I hadn't tuned in, and when I did, I saw, where the children, their mouths were just off the chart. Like, I was like, when did this happen? I happened to see it, see some stuff that was on there, and I was like, when did the children start dictating to the parents what the parents were going to do, or the smart mouth? Because I know back in the day when we were growing up, if I uttered, my mother was like the best. Like, she could throw something, and I don't care if you ran, zigzag or whatever, she hit you. And the rule in our family was, if you better be careful when you act up or what she had in her hand, because I'm serious, whatever she had in her hand, it was coming your way. Now, if she cutting up some potatoes, you better be good. And she would hit that wall right by you, whatever she had in her hand. So it was just funny. Like, I was like, one day we had company over. My sister, she had a new guy over, and my brother, I don't know what he did, but he came down the stairs. Now, this will be abuse today, but he came coming down the stairs. Then his little toy man came coming down the stairs. Then his truck came coming down the stairs. Them guys got up and left. Never came back.
Oh, wow.
So my mother, she was like, I don't know what he said to her to this day, but it tickled me. Only thing you see coming down those stairs was, toy man, he came first. Then the soldiers came behind him, and then the truck.
Everybody got evicted.
And his stuff. He was like, take your stuff with you. Yeah. So.
But see, that's the problem. What you just said was that would be abuse nowadays, right? Yeah. A lot of the stuff, see, that's the thing. There's a difference between a whooping and abuse.
Absolutely.
A whooping is done because you need to be disciplined. Abuse is done because maybe I had a bad day, or I just feel like doing it. Mm-hmm. And when folks get out here and say, well, my children will not be disciplined that way, this and that and the other, well, guess what? A lot of parents, when I hear a lot of parents say, I got good kids, no, they're not. Your kids are full of crap. You are too, because you are so tolerable towards their behaviors, their bad behaviors, that you, in your mind, say, oh, they're good kids. No, they're not. They got too much mouth. That's the number one thing, is so much mouth. We weren't allowed to talk when grown-ups were speaking. There has to be boundaries set. There's a pecking order, adults, children, y'all down here, right? So as adults are talking and kicking it, unless we actually refer to you for something, keep your mouth closed. I remember, my dad and them used to party in the basement, right? Party, they drinking, they doing their thing, right? We could stay around as long as we don't get in the way or say anything. So my brother and I, we all used to, my sister and I, we all used to play up under the table, because it was like, when you kids, that table just seems so huge. It's a spaceship. So we up under the table, you got, just as long as you don't say nothing, or be in the way, you're good. Nowadays, these kids feel privy to just open their mouths and, yeah, dad, and this and that, yeah, mom. Like, whoa, hold on. This is a kid. This is a grown folks conversation. Are y'all allowing them into this conversation?
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
I can't either. I can't either. I'm still quick to say, even with my grandchildren, stopping them right then, stopping them right then and there. If they're not, it's not conversation. But I remember those table days too. I think that table was like a tent.
Man, it was a tent, a spaceship. It was everything, man. Anything you could imagine, that's what it became. It was a house, a tent, a spaceship. It was just everything, and we knew to stay in a child's place.
Absolutely.
So when that meme goes around the internet saying who plate should be fixed first, the man of the house or the children, excuse me, when they say the man of the house or the children, well, conventional wisdom would say fix the man's plate first.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But I know how things run especially in the black community. I know how things run. Hey, mom and dad, we're gonna fix y'all plate first to get y'all the hell out the way, because when we sit down to eat, we don't want to get interrupted. So we're gonna put y'all down at the little kids table. We're gonna fix y'all plate. Y'all sit down, shut up. Then we're gonna come over here and then we're gonna fix our plate and eat. Now, depending on like in our house, it was by age. If you was old enough to fix your own plate, your mom ain't fixing your plate. You just better not dig in the middle of the dressing or the macaroni or something like that. You get the side first. You feel me? So You know, and then you don't get to cut the ham. I'm glad I don't eat pork anymore, but at the time, you don't get to cut the ham. The parents cut the ham because you be cutting big chunks out of it and stuff. You know,
Right.
so
Right.
that's what I'm saying. The children knew their place. They don't know their place now because what's this BS children's rights? You got the right to be quiet. That's what you got. You know,
Wow.
that this whole government intervention into, well, children have a say. No, they don't. They don't. They don't. They don't know nothing. They're stupid. They don't know nothing. They're not. You know, seriously. It's like, I used to think I was smart. I told you, I used to think I was smarter than my dad. I thought I was just smarter than this dude, man, for just some dumb reason. Like, hold on, wait a minute. I get older, like, and I'm thinking back like that. I thought I was smarter than this dude. He the one going to work, sending me to school, paying for my tuition, paying for my brother's tuition. You know, it's like, how am I smarter than this dude, and he's raising me?
Absolutely. And the respect, too. It's like the children aren't being taught the respect.
No.
And they're not being taught because they feel so entitled to everything. So when you think about it, when you feel entitled, then that means it's supposed to be this way for me. And that means that you don't have the respect. And then it's the same thing for, I think when doing things intentional, and you said something a little bit ago. You said, where the parents would fix the children's plate. That means it's a we thing. We're on the same page. Where the parents were a unit, basically. They were partners, and so the children could not come and go to one parent for something and then play the parents against each other because
you get a whooping.
Right, you're right. You were on one accord. The children couldn't do that. And children are known for trying to play one parent against the other parent, but that's that united front. Even if you need to talk, come back to the children, but at least be on one accord together, and then come back and tell the children no, or tell the children this is how it's going to go. So either parent, and then when the children know that, because children they're really, really, they're really smart. They're
manipulative. They're manipulative little demon seeds. That's what they are. They're little minions. They're little evil devil creatures. That's what they're.
Beautiful little angels. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, God made both the angel and the devil. He made them.
You're wrong. They're just so.
You got angels, demons, and then you got kids. That's what you got. You got angels, demons, and kids.
Those beautiful little faces and those beautiful little cheeks and all the kisses.
That's what's wrong with them. They think they're pretty. You're not pretty.
But they do. I mean, they will. I watch my grandchildren, and it's so funny watching your children raise their children, and you see the little things that they try to get away with, and it just tickles me sometimes. I'm looking at them like, wow, he really thought that was a smart idea. He thought that was good. Really thought he was gonna get away with that one. And it's like you said, that frontal cortex has not developed enough yet for them to understand the outcome. You just set yourself up. You just set yourself up.
And and I know, I'm just joking around because I know somebody's like, he called kids stupid. Kids are stupid because they think they know what, it's like we're already watching you and they can tell you what you're going to do. Okay, dig this. Back in our house in our house, my dad, he'd drink his beer, right? So there'd be some beer left in the glass, right? So as you're walking by, we had a picture of the Last Supper. So when you're walking in a hallway in the kitchen, if you look at the picture, you can see in the kitchen.
Okay.
So if you're trying to take a swig of the beer, so we wonder like, how the hell did he see that stuff, right? Well, idiot, if you were smart, you would know the reflection of the Last Supper was about to be your last supper because you did something stupid, And that's just the thing, we say, well, children should have the right to express themselves. They can do whatever they want inside their head. They can. But you folding your arms. I remember my youngest daughter. She said something or whatever, and I'm talking to her because I wasn't gonna whoop her. I'm just talking to her. So she said, huh, and she turned her back on me. I spanked her, and her mom was like, no, she's expressing herself. I just expressed myself too, My expressions are more than hers. You feel me? Like, yo, we ain't playing those games. She might grow up to disrespect you, but she won't disrespect me.
I told you about my mom, and this is just what I will never forget this. And maybe this is why I love boxing. My mother, now my father said, he said, if you ever get so upset with your mom that you want to say something disrespectful, it's better that you walk out than to say something disrespectful. Okay, that was a setup, okay? Because my mother said something and I didn't agree with her. I think I was about 17 years old. I didn't agree with her. I not only walked out the door, I walked out the room, but I also walked out the house and I slammed her door. So I don't know what age that frontal cortex grew, but man, at 17, it hadn't closed or grew. I went around to my friend's house. I don't know how she did it, but she ended up almost there. Like they saw her coming and they said, "Ooh, here come your mama." So I ran back around and I got to the house, and I'm telling you, that lady, you would have thought she was Muhammad Ali. She put her dukes up and she ran me into the bathroom and she started punching. And she was like, "Since you're a grown woman, punch me back. You can run out my house and slam the door. You grow, punch me back." She beat me up. I bet you one thing though. I bet you I never walked out and slammed her door again. I'm in there, I'm beat up. I'm beat up, and my dad came in there. He was like, "What'd you do that for?" I said, "You told me," and I can't even say, "You told me." He said, "I didn't tell you to slam the door. I didn't tell you to go out the house." So he was not a good ally to have. That's his side, but it was just, it's just something though. Like you said, we can't make good decisions. That was not a good decision at 17 years old. But to your point though, yeah, the children definitely, I think that intentional, respecting each other, respecting the parents, and teaching the children that respect. So when they grow up, they take that out into the world and into their relationships. So they know what respect looks like. But if you don't teach them that at home, and it's all about whatever they want, or I can remember, you ate what your parents put on your plate.
Oh yeah! Oh my God!
I remember that you ate what your parents put on your plate. And nowadays.
But nowadays they making 4 or 5 different meals in one shot. Well, Tommy don't eat carrots, and Peggy doesn't eat lima beans, and I didn't eat lima beans. Put it this way, I didn't like lima beans, but I had to eat them.
Right. Yeah.
You can't. How are you telling your parents what it is you eat and you don't eat?
Right.
And they did allow me on occasion to, I don't like scrambled eggs, Mom. So she'll fry it. Right. But it was still an egg. And, and then when you look at it, like, what's the logic? You still eating an egg, it's still an egg, right? And my dad, he was that dude that was like, all right, you'll sit in there until you eat it all. I don't care how cold it gets. You'll warm it back up, you're going to eat it cold. And he said, if you come out that kitchen and don't eat, you're going to get your butt beat. That's 1. And 2, don't ask for nothing to eat for the rest of the day. And, my brothers and I, we used to eat up all the peanut butter and jelly up in the crib, right? It's like, hey, once we eat dinner, hey, it's a free-for-all on the peanut butter and jelly. Now you don't eat dinner, you can't get a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and your brother's going to sit there in front of your face eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Oh yeah, kids are cool. And then they say nah.
And it was peanut butter and jelly with a big glass of milk. 2 sandwiches at one time. You know what I'm saying? So we've spoiled these kids. I'm afraid of the future.
Right. Yeah.
because we have all these rules these kids are coming up with. Well, it's like they're so sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
Kids are sensitive and mean at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
They could dish out all this stuff, but then when you give it to them back, it's like, oh, how dare you? You said that to me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you talking to the wrong one. I'm a '70s baby, so you know you're not gonna holler at me any old kind of way, and
Mm-hmm.
and it's like children actually think that what they say matter. I mean, and I'm gonna clear it up because of what society is nowadays.
Clear it up.
I'm gonna clear it up. You know, it was a treat for your parents to ask you, what did you want? Yeah, you want to go to the movies, you want this and that and the other. Hey, what do you want to eat? Like on the weekends, my dad would be like, hey, y'all, because he would make like the chili dogs, and would, screw the Dairy Queen, because we ain't had Coney Island back in the day. It was the Dairy Queen where you go get that big foot long.
It sure did.
My father, he would make all this stuff in the crib, right? So it's like, man, so he would ask us, you want hamburgers, hot dogs, what y'all want? And he would let us, that was just the special treat, though. That was something special. And then he'd make a thing of ice cream, right?
Mm-hmm.
These kids nowadays, they get to tell, I don't eat that. I don't want that. I'm not eating. I'm like, oh, okay, hold on, wait a minute. Let me go ahead. I'm listening. I just hear, even saying these words right now is bothering me, right? That a kid is saying it. It's bothering me.
Right.
Right now, I just want to go find a child and whoop them right now. I just,
No.
Man, these little kids are bad, man. They're bad. That's what's wrong. They are genuinely some little bad little people. That's it.
So how do we?
And the parents don't make it better.
Okay, so you just answered it. It's the parents, and it's the parents that make it better, or it's the parents that don't. Because some people just feel like this is my little angel and they can't do any wrong. But then down the line, and I've seen that happen where there's no real structure in what the children or child does. It's funny, when they're being bad or doing things, that are inappropriate. That is funny. But then when they grow up and they have no respect for you, then there is the issue. I know it was a struggle, as I was raising my daughter, after my divorce and everything, I was raising my daughter, and they said that I was a drill sergeant because it was so many things, being a single parent, I was afraid that if something happened to me, that nobody would be able to give her the structure that I wanted her to have. So, I did, as I was, I don't think I was hard on her, but we had a lot of structure. And then when I look at it, compared to myself and some family members, I look at the, at the structure of how she, what she learned and what she does from even being able to do that. Even when I was in my accident, my daughter, my twins, they took over and they surprised me because they were able to do what I was going to see my doctors every day. And so they were like, we go grocery shopping. My daughter had a budget and tickle me. She wrote down her budget. My son lived the groceries and did all that or whatever. So, it is, I'm just a firm believer in training a child up in the way that they should go. When they grow older, they won't depart from it. They may stray a little, but they have that foundation inside of them. So I was going back to the story I was telling about my mom. She used to always fight me about, I'm being too hard on her. I'm being too hard on her. But, in hindsight, I look back on it, I wouldn't have done it any other way because I'm proud of the results and how, how well rounded and structured all three of my children are. But, sometimes it is, you really have to, fight for your children because sometimes you being a certain way and your family being a certain way is different. But you as a parent of those children, is your responsibility to make sure you instill in them what they need to move forward.
Yeah, because, especially nowadays, the little girls, the girls have so much mouth. It's like, and they're allowed to, I guess, speak any kind of way around their moms. This is another topic, but the single mommy experiment has failed. our community has failed from the single mommy experiment.
Mm-hmm.
For those men that choose to walk away and not be men, and for those women that choose to keep good men away, you all have screwed our community up. And we've screwed it up by not telling them that they screwed it up. You know, because now you have those dads now, when they do get their children, they're not dads. They become what they term it in my transparenting class, they called it Disney dads. So I'm gonna make sure I give you everything that you want so you'll want to come back over. You know, because now, you know, if a child says, I don't want to go to my daddy's house, the mom feels like it's in her power to say, well, she ain't gotta go then.
Right.
What do you mean? You know, so, and then I remember one of the ladies in the class, she was a hot mess. So I was like, I felt for any dude that got her pregnant. I was like, oh no, you know, I just felt it like, oh man, she's a butt wipe. But anyway, it was like you know, the guy was like, hey, when y'all parenting, it's not a competition. So don't go out. He's like, obviously you're going to be able to spend more money on this child if you're getting child support. You know, you're going to be able to spend more money. You're going to, you know, and then so she's like, well, why not? It's my baby, and if I think they deserve whatever, I'm gonna buy whatever. Wow. I was just like, oh, okay, I see why y'all didn't last, you know. You know, but it's ironic to me that we look outside now. You got children flying up and down the street driving fast as hell, vroom, 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 right? You got children out here, you know, obese, because what we do, instead of telling them to be quiet, sit up and sit down, we feed them. You know, we try to pacify them with food or sweets and stuff. Now they become obese. Now we have a sick population, you know, starting out younger now. We have a younger, sicker population because now they're obese. You know, then we have, like I said, we have the children that say, I ain't got to go to school. You know, but you still gonna take care of me though, but I ain't going to school. You know, and it's like, what was that, Jenny Jones or whatever episode where he says, I'm afraid of my kids. How the hell are you afraid of your kids, right?
Right. Yeah.
You know, and there was one story where two young boys, 10 years old or something like that. Mm-hmm. One was the stepson, one was the guy's biological son. Man, the father woke up one morning, they knew his routine. He was getting ready to light a cigarette. And usually that's what he does. He lights a cigarette, you know, get ready to go to work and everything. He lights a cigarette, and he said for some reason he didn't light it. Like he said he just didn't feel like a cigarette. Walked downstairs. The 10-year-olds had turned the gas on the eyes all the way up and had let it filled the whole house.
Oh my God.
So, you know, and the young boys weren't even in the house. They left.
Right.
So, you know, he says, you know, and he was saying, yo, get them away from me. I don't ever want to see them again.
Wow.
You know, so it's like, what led to that? You know, what led to those young boys thinking that this type of thing was okay? Or, you know, who's going to raise y'all if y'all got rid of y'all parents?
Exactly.
Who's going to do that?
Exactly.
You know? And so it all goes back when we're talking about these children are the most important things in our lives. They're not. They're not. We're the most important things in their life.
Right. Their lifeline.
Yeah, we are the ones that's going to provide them with food, clothes, shelter, protection. They don't provide those things for us. We're the ones that's teaching them how to navigate through life. They're not teaching us. You know, we have so many parents out here saying, well, you know, that is my best friend. My child is my best friend. It's always a red flag to me to have a grown woman say her daughter is her best friend.
Right.
It's like, so you don't have any peers your age, you know, that you can kick it with. I'm not saying don't be cool with your kids, But for that child to be your best friend, everywhere I go, my child goes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess, you won't be going to Rod's crib. You won't be going nowhere with me. You know what I'm saying? It's just one of
Right.
those things, though. We've allowed our children, we've given them this bigger role, and they haven't earned it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're
Wow.
not the most important thing.
Well, I hear you saying that basically parenting with intention. I just see everything as being intentional. So parenting with intention, meaning that we take the responsibility back for being the parent, and that we step up to the plate. That's the whole thing. Stepping up to the plate,
In a nutshell.
and just that's it. So, what would be your final remarks about parenting with intention? I mean, we've covered a lot here.
Well, especially in the Black community, start being a parent again. It's okay to tell your kids no. It's okay to discipline them. It's okay to physically discipline them at times.
Mm-hmm.
Everything don't warrant a whooping, but sometimes, when a child doesn't know, what it like I was explaining to my daughter, you can't whoop your daughter and then hug her the next minute,
Mm-hmm.
right afterwards. And you can't yell at your daughter with a smile on your face because she doesn't know that you're serious.
Absolutely.
So you have to teach your child, like, case in point. Hey, when it came to my children, I didn't have to whoop them. I just had to look at them.
Absolutely. That look. Absolutely.
And,
Yeah.
and that look was passed down from my parents, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like when you in there, they come and stand in the doorway, it's like, and you like,
uh-oh.
And the funny thing is, even your pets know your look.
Yeah.
And so we need to get back to the point where, get the government out our lives and start raising, disciplining our children, because we need them to become productive citizens in our society.
Yeah. I remember that look. It's funny. My children knew my look because we'd go into like one of the big stores or something, and some children would be, doing something crazy or whatever, and they'd look at me and say, "Mom, those aren't your children."
Man.
If they see the look on my face, I mean, I wasn't going to snatch the parents standing right there. I wasn't going to snatch their children, but,
Man, I be wanting to snatch the weave out these little kids' heads, man. Be like y'all, man. I'm like, man, you got this kid in here screaming like this, man.
Yeah.
Let me have him for like 20 minutes, man. I guarantee you their whole life will be changed.
Like soldiers.
Man, come back. Mommy, I apologize for everything that I said and did over the past 4 or 5 years that I've been on this planet. Yeah, you're right.
You'll be apologizing for their whole.
Yeah. For her whole existence.
Wow.
Like, hey, here's my card. Call me if you need somebody to beat that tail. I got you.
You want to be the child whisperer.
Right. Come in there and be like, watch this hand. You see this hand right here? You see this hand?
The child whisperer.
That's right.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I just say, go back to parenting with intention and just, stepping up to the plate.
Stop being afraid to be a parent and do it. That's it.
To be a parent. Commit.
And can I say one more thing?
Sure.
And listening to people our age, because it's our age that's screwing these kids up, because we don't screw these kids up and then our kids done had kids early, right?
Right.
And when you hear your people your age said, well, my dad and mom, they did this to me, I wouldn't do that to my kid. But look at you, you got a job, you turned out okay.
Right.
It's okay, you're all right. Yeah, you got your ass kicked because you did some dumb stuff. Right. You know what I'm saying? You were stupid too, like your kids are stupid. You did stupid stuff, but the difference between you and your parents put a foot up your butt. You condone it.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Child Whisperer has spoken, you all. Hey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Share this information with somebody else. You never know who needs the child whisperer.
That's a good way to whoop them, too. That's a good way to whoop them. Like...
Bye, y'all. Don't forget to stay fearless.